Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of the No Fluff MSP Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Tahir Hamed. Today, we've got a big one. So we're going to jump right in, and this is probably going to be two parts. Today, we're going to be talking about 8 marketing tactics that are 100% working in the MSP space today. Not stuff that used to work, not stuff that I think works, stuff that is working today for MSPs in markets all around the world. And I'm not only going to talk about the tactic, I'm going to explain my proof as to how I know it's working. It's not an idea. It's not me selling you something. It's like firsthand experience from MSPs in different markets. So everyone thinks their market is different. I'm only going over the things that 100% work in every single market. All right. So I just want to make sure I preface that. So just keep an open mind as we go through these. So before we jump in, it's important to preface that success is very rarely isolated. So I just want to start there. Please don't listen to this episode and stop doing everything you're doing in favor of what's working. I know in our marketing, we want a tangible ROI. And that's important. But that doesn't mean that the things that are longer term and nurturing and brand awareness don't have value. Those things have a ton of value and help make this stuff successful, and they help make sales easier. So just keep that in mind as well. And understand that there are a lot of variables influencing each and every one of these. So as we hear about what's working, let's not think about it in isolation. Think about how you can add it in to what you're currently doing. So some important factors there is, do you have a brand that actually sticks out? Or is it another super forgettable or lame logo, really no unique colors, no unique messaging, no unique differentiator, no unique offering? Then yeah, it's going to be harder in general to market your business. It's easier to market when you have something that truly differentiates you. Like that's why we went with a camp theme, right? Like it just makes it a little bit stickier, like the green, the camp, the woods. There's something there that's different than just the content marketing machine or whatever dumb shit I was going to name it before Steven slapped me across the face, figuratively, and probably tried to and wanted to literally. But anyway, and said, no, we should make it funner. And I totally agree. And thank God we did that. So it's important to think about those things before we get into actual marketing tactics. Okay. The last thing before we actually get into it, I will also be ironing out the level of effort it takes, 1 being not much and 10 being maximum. I will be ironing out time to success, 1 being very quickly, so obviously good, and 10 being a long time. And also expense, 1 being cheap and 10 being very expensive. And those are my 3 main grading principles for each of these tactics we're going to talk about today. Awesome. Without further ado, let's jump in. Okay, so the first one, I bet if you've listened to this podcast, you already know what the first one is going to be, and that is SEO, or search engine optimization. SEO is 100% working. It is still working. It brings warm leads to MSPs in virtually every single market. Your market is not different, even small cities. SEO works. It works. It works. It works. Okay? So we're going to get into why I know that, all that stuff below, but SEO is a tactic that works for MSPs. Period. And why is it one of my favorite tactics of all time? And that's because of the marketing funnel. Okay? Let's just take a second here. What is an SEO lead? It is a business that is currently in market for IT services. That is as warm of a lead as you can get. That is an engaged lead. That's a hyper-engaged lead. They are very likely going to make a decision to work with an IT service provider. They're either switching to a new provider or they're looking for an IT provider, maybe for the first time because they're done with break fixed. So they are in market. Those are the hottest leads. I like bottom of the funnel leads, just like with MSP Camp. That's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I did with Alltech. That's why I'm obsessed with inbound, because inbound brings people to you when they're warmest and they close easiest. That's why I love SEO. That's also why I love Google Ads, which we'll talk about. So that is why it's so valuable, is because it's a bottom of the funnel lead. They're not top, they're not aware of they're not like top of the funnel where you have to like convince them and work them way down. You gotta have a really tight sales process to get them warmed up. It's like, nah, They're in market. You're in the first spot, second spot, third spot. You are now one of the MSPs they're talking to. So yeah, sales is still important, but at least you know they're going to make a decision. Where if you get somebody on a cold call, they might make a decision, but they kind of were just open to the appointment. They're probably going to end up sticking with their current MSP unless your sales is on point. Again, more stuff we're going to get into. But SEO is working. That's why I love it. So why do so many people, especially on fucking Reddit, say that... Sorry, I'm so frustrated with Reddit recently. Like I'm seriously just going to get off the MSP subreddit. There's so much horrible marketing advice on there. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, why do so many people say SEO is a scam? Why do so many people say it does not work? Why do people say that websites are just to be professional? Why does all of that happen so frequently that we almost buy into it? It's because it's not unwarranted. That's not a crazy thing to say. Because of its complexity, it can be easy to be taken advantage of. Because of its complexity and us not really understanding what is SEO, it's one of the most complicated marketing tactics in the MSP space. It's super easy to get taken advantage of. Because someone says they're doing SEO and they send a Google, Looker Studio report once a month that says things are going up and down and go, okay, I'm getting SEO done. But that's not what SEO is. It's actually extremely complex. You got to be fixing broken links. You got to do internal linking. You got to do backlinking. You got to be consistently and constantly posting new content on the website, blogs, service pages, industry pages, vertical, all of the pages, right? You're constantly building out content, even if they're not on the top drop-down menu, you're still creating content on that site all the time to consistently teach Google what you do, consistently build your authority, getting links to your site, internal linking so it's easier to crawl. All that shit gets complicated. And if we don't have any understanding of SEO, it's super freaking easy for someone to say, oh, we do SEO. And then they post a generic blog on your site twice a month and say that's SEO. That is not SEO. That will never drive real results or an ROI. And so it's super easy for a marketing company to say they do it, start doing that shit. And then on the flip side, the MSP or any other business owner in any other industry, seeing what's happening, not getting results and saying SEO doesn't work. That is why it's oftentimes considered a scam. And I totally get it. I totally get it. Here's a really good anecdote of why. I was talking to an MSP recently. They're paying $1,100 a month for marketing. I said, okay, what does that include? He said, oh, these 5 things. I'm like, okay, let's pull up your website. Their website was one page. It was a single page, one page. And when you click the tab, it just went down to a different section on that same page. And they said they were doing SEO. That's literally what they told him they were doing, plus social media. I pulled up his social media. They were getting 1 post a week on a Facebook that had 30 followers. They were getting no guidance to how to get more followers, anything like that. And the post looked like absolute shit, total shit. And so it's like, okay, someone is paying $1,100. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, $1,100 bills. They're sliding across the table every month to this company that's doing quote unquote marketing for them. That is exactly why marketing agencies get a bad rep. That's exactly why when I started this podcast, my whole thing was like, stop outsourcing your marketing, because it's like they're only spending 10, 15 hours a week. Because I was so frustrated with that being the status quo. Okay, so I'm getting a little off track. Let me not lose you. Let's bring it back. Sorry, let's bring it back. So that's why it can happen. So you just have to make sure you know a lot about SEO. Read, study, listen to this podcast so that if you do hire an SEO company, you know how to hold them accountable and also sniff out their bullshit if they're giving you bullshit. So some ways to do that, you need to be getting a monthly report on specific keywords and their movement up or down, backlinks that have been added or have not been added. Oh, I see we didn't get any backlinks. Why didn't we get any backlinks? Oh, you don't even have a backlink person to try and get any backlinks? That's an important thing to ask. An explanation of changes that need to be made. So it's like, okay, I see like we're kind of gaining traction here. We lost some traction here. Like, what do you think as my SEO company we need to do differently? More content, different content in different niches. Like, what do we need to do? Because the reality is, even if you have an SEO company, there are going to be some months that website traffic is going down. But if you have an SEO company that's highly accountable and showing what things are doing and what are the commercial intent ones? Are those going up? And then maybe the informational intent stuff is going down because AI, the AI overviews make it easier to do that. People don't need to click on websites. Then that's fine. You don't have to freak out because you're understanding why things are moving the way they are. That's great. That is great. So to wrap it up, SEO works 100% in every single market. It's extremely easy for a company to say they do SEO and not be accountable. So if you hire an SEO company, you need to make sure you have a really good baseline foundation of what that is, what it means, and what type of results you want to get from it. And then you can hire an SEO company. It is not a silver bullet. It is not a get out of jail free card. It is something you do need to be engaged with. Because oftentimes, the MSPs that are most engaged with the SEO and pitching content to the SEO company get the best results for the SEO because it's content that can be really differentiated, things that they're doing specifically. Okay, so as I said, I was going to lay out the three different grading criteria. The first one is effort. I think with SEO, I'm going to put effort at an 8. And the reason I'm going to put, before I actually ran an SEO agency, I probably would have put it at a 4 because I was like, oh yeah, you just do this, you do this, blah, blah, blah. But now that I actually have an SEO agency and I see how there's 7 different humans in each pod that we have at MSP Camp. Like it takes 7 different people to focus on a client. Now, obviously that 7 pod can handle about 15 to 20 clients, but you've got a copywriter, you got a backlink specialist, you got a website designer, you got a web developer, you have an SEO strategist, and then you have a technical SEO that actually does the implementation on the site, and then you got an account manager, right? So like there's 7 humans that have to constantly work on these accounts to actually drive the needle. You also put that in the fact that most MSPs are gaining knowledge of just how good SEO can be for them, so it's getting a little bit more competitive. Not like super competitive, but it's getting a little more competitive, which ups the effort as well. It used to easily be able to be done in-house, not so much anymore. All right, so I'm going to put effort at an 8. That's just now that I know more and more and we're actually running an agency, that shit is tough. Now, you can do it yourself, but again, the effort's going to be an 8. Like you got to really understand, like you got to get like rank math on your site. You got to constantly be posting new content. It's a lot of effort. Okay, cool. Time to success, probably a 7 is what I would say. I mean, I just don't know a single person that started investing in SEO and it happened like quickly. So I'm going to put it at a 7 for time to success. So as we said, 7, it means it's pretty long, right? So it's going to take like, don't even think about SEO if you can't invest for like 12 to 24 months. Like don't even, just take it off your radar. This might not be the right tactic for you if that's your mindset. Expense, again, it depends, but I'm going to put it at a 7. Like I'm going to put it at a 7 because even if you're doing it yourself, it's going to take like easily 20 to 40 hours a month for the single tactic. So yeah, either whether you're doing it yourself or an agency is doing it, the effort involved or the expense involved is going to be high. Either your personal time expense or the expense of hiring an agency. Because like if you get a quote for under $2,000 a month for SEO in the MSP space, run. Because you're gonna turn out like that one dude who gets charged $1,100 a month, and he gets a single page and no new content, and will never in a million years actually have good SEO traction. All right, cool. So proof that I know it's working. I've helped add over $500,000 in annual recurring revenue to Alltech over the years using SEO alone, among other tactics, but I'm just isolating it again for this. We currently support over 20 MSPs, and every single MSP that has been with us for at least 9 months has an uptick in inbound leads from their website, and some have never in their history got a lead from the site, and now they're starting to get leads from the site. Sometimes it's very subtle, like, we have a client that just got 1 new lead that they did close, right? Because that was a really warm lead, so that's great. To more dramatic, we just got 4 leads for an MSP in April, right? And it's not even the end of April when I'm recording this. So that's the other thing, is there is obviously a lot of variance in market and everything else, but it works either way. Okay, so we've gotten through 1 of 8, which is why there has to be 2 parts to this. But I just really want to, I hope I'm not spending too much time on this. I just really want you to understand the tactic. I really want you to understand what is involved, effort, time, expense. And then I really want to show you proof so you can understand like which one do I want to add into what I'm doing and really double down on it. All right, cool. This one's a little shorter. The second tactic that is 100% working in every single market is cold calling. If you have a structured call campaign and you've done training or had your caller do training, like the cold call course on MSP Camp right now that that everybody gets access to, as well as ongoing training, weekly check-ins, listening to the calls, how's it going? This sounded horrible. This sounded great. Less of this, more of this, right? Real ongoing training. Then this is 100% working. It's working great for MSPs today. I see it working in every single market. So just like SEO, let's take a step back. Why do so many MSPs fail here or avoid it? If we know it works with 100% definitive proof in every market, then the big question is why? Why? Why has it been failing for me? Or why is it so expensive? Or why? The big why. And these are the two main things. We oftentimes will try to hire a caller, or we'll hire a salesperson and then put calling on them. Don't do that. And we don't have anyone to help manage that person. And we don't give them any training. We just give them a script and say succeed. That is a recipe for disaster. So now, again, the MSP is $12,000 in the hole because this person's been here for, actually probably more than that, probably like $20,000 in the hole because this person's been here for 3 months. They have not set an appointment. We've been giving them the scripts and they're not setting an appointment. Cold calling doesn't work. Fire this person. I'm never doing that again. All right. So that's number one. And then two, it's expensive to hire a full-time caller in addition to other marketing activities, period. That person is easily going to be $6,000 per month. So yeah, I get it. Like we can't all do that. Like I don't have a caller. So I get it. Like, yeah, we know it works. I'm ready to train the person. We've got an MSP Camp subscription so they can get ongoing training. Oh yeah, but I don't really have $6,000 a month for a caller, and that's totally fine. So that would kind of immediately eliminate this tactic. And again, totally fine because we have 8 things on this list that are definitively working. So let's keep going. So cold calling really is a training and numbers game. If we had to isolate it, it's like training the human and making sure we're hitting numbers. I think sometimes humans just don't, like some humans just aren't going to get it, right? Like some people just, no matter how much you train, they're not going to have the right tone to do it. And that's fine. Just then you actually do have to fire them and get somebody else. That's fine. It's no worries. But if appointments are what you're looking for, this one delivers. Now, let's go back to the funnel that we talked about on the SEO side of things. Let's talk about the funnel again. An SEO lead is in market currently, right? That's oftentimes a very small percentage of current market, maybe 3%. So if you have 100 businesses in your area, there's only really like 3 currently looking. But that's pretty great too, because we know 3 people currently need us. But anyway, that's a whole nother story I did on another podcast. So those people are in market, they're Googling or they're using AI or they're using Bing or whatever it might be. They're in market. With a cold call, you're taking someone that like maybe aware of the problem or maybe not even aware of the problem, and you're setting an appointment with them, right? So they are higher up on the funnel. Now you might have caught that 3% that's like totally in market and you happen to get them on that call. That's great. But the majority of time they're like higher up on the funnel. They're colder. So, but you did get an appointment. You did get an appointment. But this is oftentimes where the rest of marketing becomes really important and sales becomes really important, because that's when we realize just how many cracks we have in our own sales. We all think we're decent at sales, and then we get a cold lead that's engaged but not hyper engaged, and we don't close it, 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 and then we close it, and then we don't 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 close it, and then we close it, right? That's a lot of don't closes. And so that's when we really start putting more emphasis on, I need sales training. I need to get a salesperson. You know, that's when we really start realizing we have cracks in the foundation of how we actually close deals. Does that make sense? I'm sure it does. So that's when the cracks in the sales cycle comes in. And then there's the cracks in the nurturing. A lot of people may have a CRM, but they actually don't have any ongoing weekly email marketing. If that's you, change that today. But that's a whole nother story. If you're an MSP Camp member, we literally have thousands of emails that we've handwritten, not AI, stuff that I know works, stuff that I use in my communication to prospects. Just grab them. Just go grab them. And then nurture your people with that, because these people, the cold calling appointments are not going to close all the time. They're not going to close at a very high rate, no matter how much sales training you're getting. But perfect. We know they're one of our target markets people. They're an ICP, right? We're going to make sure every week they're hearing from us, every single week, because they're going to forget about us if we're not doing that, period. Great. So that's where the ongoing nurturing comes in. That's a hyper important part as you mature in your marketing and sales. Cool. All right. So now we go into the criteria again. I would say effort for this, once again, is pretty high. I mean, it's a high effort tactic. So I'm going to put it at a 9, because no matter who is calling, whether it's you, whether it's a caller, whether it's an agency managing your caller, there's a lot of effort involved. There's a lot of effort involved, right? Which is why so few people do it. I say this all the time. Let's take a step. Let's take a stop real quick. You get cold called all the time. All the time you get cold called. How often is it from another local business? How often is it from another local business? You might say all the time, and I'm totally wrong here, right? But from my anecdote, and oftentimes when I talk to people, they're getting calls from big companies because those big companies are willing to put in the effort. How often is a small business or a medium-sized business like an MSP actually calling on local businesses? Not often. And so because of that effort, there's an opportunity for us to be the MSP in the market that's consistently doing this. But we have to embrace the fact that it is a lot of effort. It's a 9. So this might be a tactic you don't want to do, and that's fine. We got 6 others to go through. All right, time to success on this one. 3. I mean, if you get a decent caller and you got a good script and you get them in some training, you're going to start getting appointments pretty damn quickly. Like, I really kind of went between a 2 and a 3 here. It's not one of those tactics where it's like, oh, it's going to be 6 months before you start getting appointments. It's like, no, if you're doing it right, it's like month 1, you'll get an appointment. Month 2, you'll get more. Month 3, you'll get even more. So like, time to success. Again, if you hire right, if you give them good training and ongoing training, right? You're going to be able to get quick success with appointments. But then again, it's going to show some cracks and the other things that we need to work on. Awesome. Expense, almost maximum, right? We got it at 9 because it's like this person is going to be $6,000 per month. That's a lot, right? After you've taken their salary, health insurance, it's going to be about $6,000. So yeah, expense is probably 9. And even if you hire a lead gen agency, which also works, I haven't seen one for under 4,000. So even if you do that, it's still a hefty investment for a single tactic that's not even usually warm leads. So even though it's working, these are the variables we need to consider. Cool. Proof that it's working. I have so much proof that this is working, but again, I'm trying to keep this as concise as I possibly can. Stephen Young, not my Stephen, who's currently missing today that I miss. I never realized how much I called my Stephen. That sounds really gay, but he's out this whole week, and I never realized how much I Teams called him just with ideas and what's going on, whatever, until I couldn't. And I'm like, oh, I do that a lot. I have to constantly tell myself not to Teams Stephen. So anyway, I'll get off my my depressing Stephen's not here week. So Stephen Young, the other Stephen, sets 8 to 12 appointments every single month like clockwork. Yeah, that's the same guy that did the MSP Camp course that you get for free if you're a member. Everything he's doing, I paid him to put into a course for us. There you go. If this is an issue you want to do, great. You have access to a course that currently only 40 people have taken, which drives me crazy because we have 1,400 members in MSP Camp right now, and only 40 of them have currently taken a course that I spent a lot of money on. That's truly excellent. So if that's you, don't let that be you. And then I'll get questions from people who are like, hey, what do you think about cold calling? I'm like, go watch the fucking course, period. That's it. I'm sorry. I'm investing a lot. I'm giving you guys this to make sure I can help. So if you're the person that wants to do this, but you have questions, do the course first, and then we'll have better questions. Awesome. So he's currently doing this for his MSP called Global Data Systems. He is not a vendor. He is an MSP sales professional managing a group of callers that are doing this for an MSP, a true practitioner, just like we like to stress at ScaleCon. I don't want to bring a bunch of vendors in to say what they think is going to work for their clients. I like bringing in the MSPs that are currently saying this shit is working and this is how I do it. Like, to me, that's where the gold lies. Cool. All right, halfway through. Sorry, y'all. This is a doozy. I'm going to take a little sip of water. We'll keep going. Another tactic, number 3. Now we're at number 3. I should probably be clear there. Another tactic that is 100% working, 100% working in markets all around the world is Google Ads. Google Ads is working in every market. And I usually hear 2 types of MSPs that tried this for a few months, then turned it off, and then they say it doesn't work. And then MSPs that have them on all the time and get leads from Google Ads periodically. It may not be all the time, and they may not always be huge, but they keep them going nonetheless. Aaron Fox, who we help with their website SEO, they consistently get SEO leads. He gave me a video testimonial, which if you listen to this podcast, you know how much I stress getting video testimonials. So make sure if you're an MSP and you got happy clients, get them on camera. Just get them on camera. Like, just tell me what you just said, but like, let me record it, right? So he has the mindset that if he's investing in a tactic in marketing and it pays for itself fully, he will just continue to invest into that thing. Like if that tactic had enough gross margin to cover itself, so get that big of an ROI, he's like, I'm just going to keep doing that thing. I'm just going to keep doing that thing. I'm just going to keep doing that thing. I'm just keep doing that thing. And then I'm a baby step into the next thing, right? And then these things compound. It's exactly how we do marketing. So that's how I would recommend you do Google Ads, right? Like there's going to be some months where it doesn't hit. There's going to be some months where it does hit. And as long as you get a good enough ROI on it where you can keep it going because it's paid for itself and then more and more and more, that's a great way to think about Google Ads. Now, Google Ads definitely gets complicated, right? There's a lot of different things when we say Google Ads, Google AdWords. There's the keywords. I want to buy these keywords. So if somebody searches it, then we're going to show up for those keywords. And they're going to go to a landing page that we've optimized. And we're seeing how we can make changes to it to increase the conversion rate, right? That's one aspect of Google Ads. There's retargeting, where it's like, hey, somebody has now visited my site. I want to show them these display ads, or I might want to show them a YouTube video because I know they were on my site for some reason, and I want to retarget that person, right? So that kind of adds a layer of complexity. We can do like something I'm doing right now is like if somebody goes to my competitor's URL, like if they go to a specific, like think about your competitors in Google, you can say, hey, if somebody visits my competitor, I want them to see my ads. And then we can show them YouTube videos, right? And because we know that person is either currently in market because they're on our competitor's site, or they're currently working with that competitor. So, hey, we know they know the MSP model. Like we know that they're, visiting our competitor's site. So I want to constantly send them ads too because they're the right person. So Google Ads definitely can get complicated, but it 100% works. It 100% works. Okay, so the 3 criteria for Google Ads. Effort, I would say 7. Like it's not a set it and forget it. Like if you have someone that just sets up an account and then forgets about it, it's probably not going to find a lot of success. It is very busy. There's a lot of changes you got to make. Time to success, again, pretty quick. I would say probably a 4 here. Like if your campaign isn't getting leads within the first few months, then it's not a good campaign probably. We probably need to make some tweaks and changes so we can find success faster. Expense, I'm going to go with a 7 here. It's pretty expensive, right? You want to have a $3,000-$4,000 a month budget for Google Ads in most markets because it's like $30 to $50 per click, right? So it can get pretty expensive. Plus you have to have somebody manage it for you. So for our clients, we charge $1,000 a month just for management. So like you have to have the management fee, and then you also have to have the ad spend. So yeah, again, it can be pretty pricey, right? So, but again, it's working in every market. It really is. So again, I just want to give you the tools you need to decide on whether this is a tactic you want to jump into or not. All right, proof that it's working. I literally spoke to 2 MSPs last week doing this and getting consistent leads, one in the UK and one in Texas. Now, that was just last week. I'm constantly talking to MSPs. That's one of my favorite things about my job is like I'm constantly talking to MSPs all over the world on what they're doing and giving them advice and getting advice from them. And it's awesome. It's like extremely fulfilling. So that's just 2 that I spoke to last week, right? That's just last week. Cool. All right, last one. Really appreciate you sticking with me here. I really do. So the last one is, and so I know the first 3 that we've talked about are kind of high on the expense side, obviously, but they definitely work. Effort and expense were pretty high on those first 3. So now we're actually going to go with one with extremely low expense, right? And that is, you're probably going to hate me when I say this, but networking. Networking is 100% working. It is 100% working in MSPs in every single market. Your market is not different. I know a lot of realtors come to that chamber thing, but I promise you there's also business owners there. Like, give it time, give it attention. Networking works. There are 2 types of referrals. I say this all the time, but again, I just want to constantly reiterate this important fact. There are 2 types of referrals oftentimes. There are client referrals, which are honestly pretty tough to, like, you can do things like we did a podcast on how to get more referrals, but client referrals come when they come. You can, as long as you provide great service and you do the things in that episode, you can facilitate more, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like client referrals are what client referrals are. Then there's network referrals. That are referrals from your network, not your clients, your friends, your family, the people you meet at networking events. Now, those can 100% be influenced very easily. All you have to do is grow that network, and those number of referrals go up consistently. The more people you consistently add to your network and communicate with and engage with, the more network referrals you get. So this is a wonderful form of marketing, and it costs $0. There's obviously an opportunity cost because of the time involved, but $0 oftentimes. Like, okay, maybe it's $10 to go to the thing. So very close to $0. So there's really no excuse on this one. If you can't afford the other things, no worries. You can still grow. There's just going to be a lot more sweat equity involved. So if you're only getting referrals from clients and you're not happy with how many of those are, but you don't have a lot of budget right now, great. You need to step up your networking. You need to step up your social media content, and you need to step up your email nurturing, period. If I had to sum that all up, if you're only getting referrals from clients, you need to step up your networking, meeting people in real life. You then need to connect with them on social, and you need to step up your social media game so they know what you do and you stay top of mind. And then you need to get them into your email marketing, and you need to nurture them, period. So if you want to go the low expense, maybe longer time horizon, this is a wonderful way of doing that. Networking with those 3 things I just said. Now, you'd be amazed by how many referrals you can get just by consistently showing face. When you become the go-to technology individual, referrals come in. If you have a salesperson or you are the salesperson, this is 100% must as part of your job. If you're the owner, you either need to be doing this or you need to have somebody doing this, even if it's your marketing coordinator. Like I was the marketing coordinator doing this. I used to go to networking events, and I'd be the only MSP there. Meanwhile, there were lots of other businesses, lots of multiple of the same types of industries there, but I was always the only IT person there. I was the only MSP. Now, when I think about like what type of networking, if I had to put all my eggs in one basket, it would probably be Rotary, or Kiwanis. That's the other one that's very similar to Rotary. I was in Rotary. I love Rotary. It's an organization built around giving and community. And if that's truly who you are, then this is a great one to do, because a positive externality of things like Rotary and Kiwanis is that you will get business out of it. Now, don't make that your primary objective. Make philanthropy, giving, truly caring about your community the number one. And a positive externality of that thing is that you will get business from it. BNI is another notable mention, but I personally bailed before I saw fruits. That's my fault. It was when I was early in my marketing career, and I kept trying to look for the silver bullet. So I would start, stop, and not get success. Whereas every time I truly invested long-term into something, that's where success came in. So, but I have heard really good things about BNI from MSPs. I've also heard really negative things about BNI from MSPs. So take it as you will. But Rotary and Kiwanis, to me, are kind of the gold standards if you have one in your market. There's also Chamber, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so now let's get into the 3 criteria. Effort, I would say a 7. You know, there's a lot of effort because you got to like go to the thing. You got to talk to the people. You know, if you're like me and you don't drink, it's extra painful because it's like, oh gosh, I have to like try and get comfortable fairly quickly here. It can oftentimes be uncomfortable. So the effort I would say is a 7. But for you, I think this is obviously very variable. It might not be a lot of effort for you. It might be a lot more effort for you. So, you know, it depends. Time to success. I'm going to just say this so we can understand on this one. It's probably a 10. Okay. And I know that's not what we want to hear. We're all looking for like quick wins, but you're not going to get a lot of quick wins with the stuff that requires a lot of sweat equity instead of money. You're just not. And so you just need to understand, let's put it at a 10. If it pays off as a 6, great. If that time horizon is shorter than 10, perfect. But just to set reasonable expectations and keep us committed, let's say it's a 10, and then hopefully we can kind of get it before that 10. Expense, I'm putting it as a 1. It's literally like almost no expense. So like when we look at all these different 4 tactics we've talked about today, there are some where it's very little effort, but very expensive. There are some where it's not expensive at all, but then takes a long time, like this one. So that's why you have to just kind of gauge these tactics that are 100% working and then understand, okay, what best fits my current budget, my current interest, my current market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then work your way back to all the other stuff. Does my brand suck? Does my website suck? Am I driving people to a website that sucks, et cetera, et cetera? So there are a lot of variables. But in isolation, these 4 things will work for your MSP, period. All right, proof that this one is working. I would say just go listen to the episode with Andrew Moon. That was a great episode. He would do those coffee talks with business owners, and that's like the main way he grew. So that's all network marketing. Alltech added another $500,000 in annual recurring revenue from networking alone that I went to. Now, again, that was over the course of 6 years, but it's a $500,000 of recurring revenue. Like, it's worth it. So might be worth that 7 in effort and 10 on the time horizon because it's not really costing us anything and the ROI is insanity. But you got to be consistent. You got to consistently show up and you got to, really put the effort in. All right, let's see where we're at. 40 minutes. My goodness. Well, I do appreciate you being on this episode. I hope this was helpful. I know we've obviously already talked about all of these tactics in other episodes, but this one can hopefully sum up for you what's currently working in every market based on me talking to literally hundreds of MSPs now, which I'm very grateful for. So yeah, there's stuff working. If someone says something does not work, it just means that they have not figured it out for themselves, which is totally fine. But just understand a lot of stuff is working, but every single one of them either takes a lot of effort, a lot of money, or sometimes both. But those 2 will oftentimes drive down that other criteria, which is time horizon for success. Oftentimes, if it's a lot of money and it takes a lot of effort, the time horizon for success is pretty damn low. Like if you're doing both those things, you better find success pretty effing quickly. And then on the flip side, where it's like, okay, maybe not that much effort, very little money, well then time horizon again is probably going to be pretty damn high. So these variables influence, which tactics are working how quickly, and it's something you need to decide as a business owner, as a marketing professional, which one you are going to advocate for and implement into your business. Awesome. Well, if you're still here, I really appreciate it. I really hope that was helpful. I do want to have a quick plug for MSP Camp. We are doing a limited time Scout Plus lifetime offer. We will probably never do this again. We're trying to kind of raise funds for a big initiative we're rolling out on the site. So it's $2,500 for literal a lifetime membership. If you have any interest in joining MSP Camp or you're currently a Scout Plus member, it will actually help us a lot if you decide to switch to lifetime. Very easy to do that. And if you've been on the edge of whether you're going to join or not, this is a super solid offer to go ahead and take advantage of now. Help us continue to build this awesome thing. It gets better and better every single week. You just go to msp-camp.com, sign up now, and when you're going to check out, there's the monthly, yearly, and now lifetime option. So that'd be great. We're just gonna have this for a limited time. So check it out. I hope to see you around camp, and I'll see you on part 2 next week. Thanks.